You've probably been spiking the fish tank. We're going to premiere another new feature on the program this evening, the feature that we like to call 35 millimeter. We'll have more on that a little bit later.
And our own Steve Kraushaar is going to profile a local race car driver, and we'll take you back in time on our widely heralded segment called Chronicles.
And we're going to meet two clothespin dolls, I'll tell you, and we're going to find out what's making people mad. But first of all, Auble, right? It's called simply the Carriage House. It may just be one of the city's best places to have lunch, and yet, for one reason or another, it has become the city's best-kept secret. Few people have ever heard of the place, let alone have visited there. And if you're like us, finding a different place for lunch is often a problem. The Carriage House can solve that in fairly authentic 19th century elegance, and it's the subject of tonight's Auble at Large. The Carriage House is just what the name implies. It's a beautifully reconstructed carriage house beside the historic DeMenil house at DeMenil Place and Cherokee Street in South St. Louis. The Carriage House is nestled in amid the very artistic gardens that surround the historic home, providing a gracious setting indeed. A woman named Pat Moss manages the Carriage House. She's a native of St. Genevieve, a former school teacher and school bus driver there, and for a time she worked for the telephone company. She's developed a reasonably priced luncheon menu, 5 entrees, and an appetizing salad bar and cocktails.
So the name is not a gimmick, then. It was indeed a carriage house.
It was a carriage house, yes.
Cleaned up pretty good, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
This is kind of a landmark in St. Louis, and yet I just wonder if many people know that it is indeed a working restaurant.
I don't think so. I think that they feel that it's just the house and that you can't really have lunch in here or a private party, which we do have many beautiful private parties here. Yeah. Wedding receptions, business meetings, anniversary parties, just about anything that you'd like to celebrate, you can celebrate here.
Nice place, too, to do it because the setting is really elegant, and I imagine there's a lot of work that goes into keeping the grounds and the patio and whatnot in shape.
Yes, we have a gardener who comes in every Monday, waters all the plants, does all the flowers, takes care of all of the grounds and all the indoor plants.
Well, you think of the DeMenil House, I'm not sure, is it like a profit-making organization, or who runs it?
It's run by a board of directors, and it is not a profit-making organization. It's strictly a historical venture. It was actually saved from the highway. It would have been destroyed had it not been saved.
Oh, I see. So when they put 55 in and there was a restoration project here, kept it going. Huh?
Yes, and saved the house. And then, of course, the restaurant is just sort of like the icing on the cake, really.
How many do you seat here?
We can see 87 inside and approximately 88 or 89 outside. However, if we have a big group or a private party, we rent tables and put them out on the lawn.
I see. There are antiques that are all over. The salad bars are Steinway piano.
Right, and then we have the bathtub, which we use to ice champagne or wine for parties. And then we have the washing machine, which we say we do the napkins in, which we really don't.
You really don't do it?
No, we really don't.
You also have some fine food. There are some specialties that I know some sauces that look great.
We have our Mornay sauce, which goes on the ham roulades and the beef roulades. Then we have our wine sauce, which goes on the coq au vin roux. And they're prepared here by our cook.
Yeah,
and
terrific dishes, but I guess competitively priced?
I think so, $4.50 and 25 cents tax. That includes a visit to the salad bar and hot rolls, hot bread. And beverage, of course, is extra. It wasn't until inflation hit, but it is extra.
You got hit, huh?
And then we have lovely desserts, chocolate mousse, French cheesecake, the good thick cheesecake.
I can't talk with my mouth waters.
The luncheons at the Carriage House are served only between 11:30 a.m. and 2 p.m., and lunches is all they serve, besides the private parties in the evening. But if you're looking for a different dining experience with things like quiche and beef roulades and the best homemade banana bread I've ever tasted, the Carriage House is worth a try. So there now, the city's best-kept secret is out, and you're the winner. That's Auble at Large for tonight. We'll be back with more shortly.
For the nostalgia buffs, there's Count Basie at the barn,
And one of contemporary music's most talented artists is featured tonight in a concert at the Edison Theater on the Washington University campus. There are tickets available for Basie, but before you rush out to buy any last-minute tickets for Chuck Mangione's concert, we have to tell you that that show on the WashU campus is a sellout. Mangione will play St. Louis again in the next several weeks. Next time he's going to play in a much larger concert hall, but that's small consolation for the countless fans who might want to see him tonight. But maybe Newsbeat can ease that pain just a little bit, because Steve Kraushaar spent the better part of his day with this talented jazz musician, and he's prepared this report for us.
Even if you've never heard of Chuck Mangione, odds are you've heard his music. Mangione's mellow jazz has been the featured background music for the most recent Summer and Winter Olympic Games. Network football producers have made similar use of it, and we Newsbeat producers have played Mangione music for stories ranging from bald eagles nesting at Clarksville, Missouri, to the Matisse exhibit currently on display at the St. Louis Art Museum. Mangione's melodic style just seems to be a natural audio complement to visual beauty. Chuck may talk about the jazz-rock fusion, the audience crossover from rock to jazz, and Chuck Mangione is one of the principals involved in that. That's got to make you pretty happy.
It feels so good, you know, to have that happening, and I think in the last couple of years we've seen something happen in music that's kind of like what was happening when I was growing up. A resurgence of instrumental music and music that does involve improvisation. I think the reason why people are accepting it more is our music and a few others are getting to a more melodic aspect of music. You know, I think jazz went through a period where it was very angry, noisy, and kind of free form, like an accident happening in some cases, and now we're seeing some very melodic, strong music happening again.
And I guess the flugelhorn lends itself to that melodic aspect.
Well, the flugelhorn is a much darker, mellower sound than the trumpet, you know, and I fell in love with it way back in 1963, and because it's not a flexible instrument, I mean, where you can get the power, the brilliance of the trumpet, I waited till I put my own group together to play it all the time.
The Chuck Mangione Quartet's one of the hottest around, yet you're playing Edison Theater, seats about 1,000, rather than Kiel Auditorium, which seats 10,000. Why is that?
Well, I think originally we were scheduled to play Kiel, and then the date got moved. But this is our first time in St. Louis, and so I guess we have a sold-out house tonight, and so that means we just have another reason to come back more often.
The record signing parties with the mobs of people, a lot of artists can't relate to that. How do you?
Well, you know, I think it's important, like after a concert, we'll sit on the front of the stage and sign things. My father travels with us. He's retired now, and he's hustling records and T-shirts in the lobby. And I like to get a feel of the people that are out there. You know, when you're up on stage, I don't really see any of the people that are out there. I'm playing and kind of communicating to, as I would as if I was on TV, you know, thinking about a group of people being out there. But I like to feel and know who's there and how we did from their point of view. And so I like the contact with the people.
Mm-hmm. The closeness of your family, that was a great influence on your musical career, wasn't it?
It sure was. My father definitely was very much into giving his children the opportunity to do all the things that he didn't get to do as a young person. And I guess if we would have been into medicine, he would have taken us to hospitals. But we were into music, and he took us to hear some great people, and of course opened the house to all kinds of wonderful musicians and friends to make music in the house all the time. So it was a wonderful environment to grow up in.
Well, there's only going to be a couple thousand St. Louisans to be able to see you tonight, but hopefully you'll be back again, huh?
Oh, I hope so too, yeah, really. That's why we're out here. You know, it's a building process. I would be very afraid if this record that's happening so strongly now was our first record and was a shot to the moon, and then we didn't have any bass. But we have even a mailing list of 30,000 people that we keep in touch with constantly and tell them where we're going and what's happening. And I think there's a strong basis for us to be around for a long time, and that's what I'm looking for.
There's really very little doubt he'll be around a long time, because Chuck Mangione sounds so good. Steve Kraushaar reporting, and the Newsbeat goes on.